Prepare for a wild ride as we dive into the mind-boggling world of President Trump's latest statements. Trump's outlandish ideas, from fantasy to reality. President Donald Trump has a knack for proposing outrageous concepts and repeating them until they become part of the mainstream narrative. Some of his far-fetched notions have indeed become the new normal, while others leave him scrambling to save face. Let's explore the latest round of Trump's jaw-dropping statements and their current status. 50-year mortgages, a game-changer or a pipe dream? Trump's idea of extending mortgage terms by 2 decades has sparked debate. While it could lower monthly payments, it also means a longer wait for homeowners to build equity. After facing criticism from economists and even some Republicans, Trump downplayed his suggestion, emphasizing the reduced monthly cost. However, his economic advisors are reportedly exploring ways to make it happen, leaving the proposal in a state of flux. Tariff revenue checks, a dividend for all. Trump suggested that the tariffs he imposed could result in a $2,000 dividend for each person, excluding high-income individuals. Experts, however, dismiss this idea, pointing out that American consumers are already burdened by high import taxes. Even the Treasury Secretary has since clarified that Americans may not receive a check. With the administration collecting over $225 billion in tariff revenue, the proposal seems financially unrealistic. Yet, the White House remains committed to making these revenue checks a reality, leaving the idea in a state of uncertainty. Air traffic controller bonuses, a promise left hanging. Trump proposed sending $10,000 bonus checks to air traffic controllers who worked without pay during the government shutdown. When asked about the funding source, he replied, "I don't know," adding, "I always get the money from someplace, regardless." The proposal remains in limbo, with no clear path to implementation. Death penalty in D.C., a faded proposal. Trump issued a statement directing the enforcement of the death penalty in the District of Columbia, following his earlier suggestions for those convicted of murder in Washington. However, the D.C. City Council repealed capital punishment in 1981, and a referendum in 1992 rejected its reinstatement. Most crimes committed in Washington, including murder, are not federal offenses, making this proposal a non-starter. Creating a U.S. sovereign wealth fund, an off-ramp. Trump signed an executive order directing his administration to create a government-owned investment fund, similar to sovereign wealth funds in oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia and Norway. However, the U.S. lacks surplus funds and instead faces growing budget deficits. As a workaround, the government has been acquiring stakes in companies like U.S. Steel, Intel, and mineral firms, citing national security implications. This political off-ramp allows Trump to claim progress without formally declaring a sovereign wealth fund. Changing NFL kickoff rules, a lost cause. Trump has repeatedly expressed his dislike for the dynamic kickoff rule, which aims to reduce high-speed collisions and injuries. He called it unromantic and demeaning, suggesting the NFL shouldn't have the right to make such changes. However, he acknowledged that the NFL will likely do what it wants and admitted, "I don't think they'll change." The proposal seems to have faded away, with Trump seemingly resigned to the status quo. Changing the Commanders' name and stadium. Still in the works, Trump recently suggested it would be beautiful to name the Washington Commanders' new stadium after himself, an idea the team hasn't embraced. He also criticized the name Commanders, advocating for a return to the controversial name Redskins. Trump previously threatened to block the stadium's construction unless the team changed its name, but it's unclear if a venue named after him would change his mind. The proposal remains in the discussion phase. Suspending habeas corpus. A forgotten idea. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller stated that the administration was considering suspending habeas corpus to expedite deportations. However, when asked about it later, Trump seemed unaware, asking, "Suspending who?" He deferred to the Homeland Security Secretary, who confirmed she hadn't been part of any such discussions. The proposal has since faded away, with no further action taken. U.S. retaking Bagram airfield. In limbo, Trump hinted at the possibility of the U.S. renewing hostilities with the Taliban to retake Bagram, once the largest U.S. military hub in Afghanistan. He posted online, "Bad things are going to happen if the Taliban didn't return the base." The Taliban has rejected this idea, calling for a policy of realism and rationality. The proposal remains in a state of uncertainty, with no clear path forward. Arrests for sinister behavior at the UN. A non-issue, Trump demanded an investigation into 3 sinister events during the UN General Assembly, including an escalator malfunction and a malfunctioning teleprompter. He insisted that the perpetrators should be arrested. However, an investigation revealed that a videographer from the U.S. delegation triggered the escalator's stop mechanism. With no arrests made, this proposal has faded away, leaving the incidents as mere anecdotes. As we navigate the complex world of Trump's statements, it's clear that some ideas gain traction while others fade into obscurity. What do you think? Are these proposals controversial or simply unrealistic? Feel free to share your thoughts and engage in the discussion below.